Oh my goodness, that was the stupidest game I've seen all year. You know, trying to go out there and make videos whilst the game is going on, because this hockey game was on at 11 a.m. in the morning for some reason. Like, they couldn't have just scheduled this as a regular old, I don't know, evening, maybe later afternoon game in Minnesota. But it comes on super early here in Vancouver. I end up missing a big chunk of the first period because I was like, oh wait, my alarm went off, it's 11 a.m. and then all of a sudden I pop out of bed and it's 11:30. Like, that's kind of how it goes, right? And I'm gonna say that making videos, the anti-Ranta, Brady Tkachuk videos, whilst I was watching the Canucks and Minnesota Wild game, that was like my only saving grace, because this Wild and Canucks game was so boring, so methodical, so tactical, to the point that, like, it was kind of bordering on ridiculousness. Like, what was going on in this game? I might have slept in a little bit before watching this game. Well, guess what? The Vancouver Canucks kind of did the same too. And I don't know if it was the early start time that really affected the gameplay in today's 2-1 Minnesota win in a shootout, or if it's just the freaking Minnesota Wild playing the same boring old hockey that they've been playing over the past few years, but that game was so odd. It's a 2-1 win by Minnesota in a shootout. As we had said, the Vancouver Canucks dropped their first game in 5. They've been on a 4-game winning streak up until this point, and it now comes to an end. But they still get the loser point because they actually got a point in this game. They end up tying the Boston Bruins and overtaking the New York Rangers in the overall NHL standings. So Vancouver is 3rd overall in the NHL right now. No big deal. They're still all right. It's just, in a game like this, where Minnesota completely finds a way to get the Canucks off their track, you get yourselves an end product that is really sloppy at times, really low volume at times, and especially in that overtime. My goodness, the Vancouver Canucks just could not get themselves going. They play the Blackhawks tomorrow at noon Vancouver time. It's in Chicago, so we'll see if the Canucks are able to get off to a hotter start against one of the worst teams in the NHL this season in that game. But this Minnesota game, I mean, look, there are 2 goals. We can talk about them quickly. Minnesota strikes first in the first period. It's a really nice play out in front, centering pass made there by Marcus Foligno. It's tipped up and over by Frederick Gaudreau. And then in the second period, the Canucks tied it up. It was Teddy Blueger. Very nice play by him, Dakota Joshua with the centering feed, and another very similar kind of tip-in shot on goal. Those are the only 2 pucks that get by the goaltenders in regulation and overtime this game. Casey DeSmith admittedly looked pretty good. There were multiple times throughout this showcase where he kind of saved Vancouver Canucks' behind, and Freddie Gustavsson went out there and had himself a game as well, making more saves, but honestly not having as dangerous of a selection against him by Vancouver. Like, I feel like Minnesota had more dangerous shots in this one, and the numbers and expected chances support that heavily. Minnesota deserved to win this game by quite a significant margin when you think about the quality of chances that they had consistently. Especially once the game was 1-1, Vancouver just could not get themselves going, and look, this was really sloppy, like probably as sloppy as that Toronto game earlier on in the season, maybe even a little bit worse, because what the Minnesota Wild style ends up accomplishing in this game is it forces Vancouver into making just bad passes, bad reads. The Canucks are not able to pick up on their drop passes. There's so many moments where a Canucks player tries to pass to another Canucks guy, and the pass receiver has to, circle back in order to get the puck. He doesn't expect the pass coming to him. The entire Vancouver game plan was kind of disjointed, and especially in that overtime, you saw a lot of these shots the Canucks were taking going wide. They were missing the net like crazy, and there are no points from the top guys. No P.D. Miller, Besser, Hughes, Hronik points out there. You get a goal scored by Teddy Blueger, assisted by Dakota Joshua, so that's good. But still, the Vancouver Canucks top players, especially on their power plays, they were over 5 tonight? Not great at all when you consider, the quantity. They had their own guys blocking shots. There was a scare with Brock Besser on one of the power play opportunities where he blocked a Quinn Hughes shot. It would have been nice to see Besser get a point against his hometown team, but that didn't happen. But that overtime especially, I feel, was the epitome of this game, where so many Canucks players were just fumbling the passes, so much to the point that they ended up starting to pass it to Casey DeSmith back in their own zone. There was some back-checking that was missed. Andrei Kuzmenko could have forced an icing call in overtime, but instead he's a little bit slow to come back, which allows Joel Eriksson-Ek to get to the puck and not have the icing. Casey DeSmith, a little bit of a miscommunication on that same play, not touching the puck and kind of like shaking his glove, looking a bit confused there. And then you had the shootout, which was just totally bonkers too. This was not a good one. You have yourselves the first goal scored by Matt Zuccarello. He goes 5-hole on Casey DeSmith. And then Kuzmenko. Dude, we had seen Kuzmenko do some pretty nice shootout goals last year, but it just doesn't happen today. He comes in on goal, his confidence already kind of shaken up from the past few weeks worth of hockey. He had the bad shift in overtime, and then he comes in on Gustavsson and completely fumbles the puck in tight. You could see he's trying to do his little shoulder faking, forehand shot move, but it just doesn't work. It was a fumble, like he fumbled the puck in tight, and that's what caused him to lose it out. Matt Boldy comes in, and he ends up getting saved. He tries the 5-hole shot on DeSmith. Then JT Miller comes down, and he tries his move too. He does his signature serpentine to the left, and then slowly come in right down the middle. And he fumbles the puck in the same way that Andrei Kuzmenko did. He kind of looked undecisive, especially as he deked the puck to the backhand. It didn't work, and it was a really slow attempt too. You could tell by like the time he deked it to the backhand, he didn't know what he was going to do. And he tried to get a shot off. It was saved by Gustafsson. Easy save there for the Minnesota goaltender. Kirill Kaprizov then has an opportunity to win the game. He has a beautiful stride as he pounces right in, but he ends up backhanding it over the goal, and he looks frustrated afterwards. Elias Pettersson has a chance to tie the game and send this to a 4th round, but he walks right in, takes a shot, and it's an easy save there for Gustafsson too. Tries to beat him low blocker, it doesn't work. Vancouver had a sloppy game here. This was a messy, just kind of incohesive, disjointed effort, and it gets even stupider when you realize that Minnesota just played a really boring shutdown style too, that didn't really amount itself to any entertainment value whatsoever. I mean, sure, the goal was nice, Teddy Blueger, Dakota Joshua, but from a Vancouver Canucks analytical point of view, like, you had to rely too much on your goaltender. The defensive play wasn't the best. The passing was sloppy. Hopefully everything works itself out better tomorrow, because that was not a fun game to watch. I don't know if Canucks fans feel happy that they had to wake up a little bit earlier to watch this game. Okay, maybe 11 a.m. isn't that early, but maybe I'm just a degenerate who makes YouTube videos for a living, so I have the right to go out there and sleep a little bit later than most of y'all. But either way, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below about the Vancouver Canucks and the Minnesota Wild. It's a 2-1 shootout victory for Minnesota in very bad fashion. I mean, props to the Wild, their defensive style. It works, it's effective, I'm not going to dispute that. It's just, the Vancouver Canucks should be a lot better than that. Even the last time they played the Wild and they had the 2-0 shutout with Casey DeSmith, like, that game was boring too. This game, also boring, but then you have the Canucks actually being bad on top of that. Not a great game by any means. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed this video. And bye.